Hey guys, welcome back to Relatable Girl. I know that I missed last week's video and I'm so sorry about that. I actually did film it. I was just not able to upload it in time, so I decided to refilm and just combine episodes 6 and 7 together for this Mr. Robot series. So that's why I missed last week and why I'm combining these two. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Kendra Saunders. I am the owner of Half Lucid Jewelry. I am the author of the Alien Popstar series, and I am a YouTuber here talking about living in New York and living with severe allergies. I have playlists with all of that stuff, so feel free to go check it out. But if you're just here for Mr. Robot, there is also a playlist of my previous videos talking about this season. Of course, before we actually begin the video, though, I just want to remind you there are going to be a lot of spoilers in this, so don't watch this if you haven't seen these episodes yet, or you haven't watched the show and you're planning to, or if you care about spoilers. So that being said, we're done with our intro. Let's get our hoodies up. Okay, so a quick recap of what I said in the video that I filmed before but was never able to upload is I felt like episode 6 balanced out everything with episode 5, and it helped me to understand better why we had the episode 5 like situation be how it was. So, you know, episode 5 was silent, and then episode 6 was completely the opposite. It was just intensity from beginning to end, and it was everything sort of slowly starting to come together. It was just like basically an entire episode of stress. And when the episode was over, I was just sitting staring at my laptop like, how am I supposed to wait for next week? Like, is this what we used to do back when we had to wait for the new episode of things? Like, this is what we used to have to live through, right? I want to give huge props to the directing in this season. Like, obviously in the whole show, like, this show is just incredible, but the directing this season has been fascinating. I love how each episode kind of feels like a different movie style. But you know, episode 6 was just intense action, adrenaline, like the whole time. And I am obviously really upset and sad that Elliot chose some of the things that he did. You know, he's so determined. He believes that what he's doing is the right thing and also just crucial. And he's willing to do it at any cost, including hurting people badly. I had mentioned before that I really liked Olivia. I think having her thrown in has been great. It's surprising to have a character thrown in so sort of late in the story, and yet we care about her already so quickly, or at least I do. And, you know, we were able to feel that way about her very quickly. So when Elliot, Elliot, when he slips drugs into her coffee and threatens her and tries to blackmail her, it was very upsetting and sad to watch. And when she said that she needed to use the bathroom, I was like, oh, she's gonna like jump out the window and escape, or she's gonna like call the cops, or something's gonna happen. I never expected it to be the whole thing of her trying to commit suicide. That was a little rough, but I think it was realistic to how she felt. You know, she felt like everything was completely hopeless at that point. So that whole thing was so intense, and it felt very real to me, like the reactions that the both of them had to each other. It was just incredible acting from both of them. And then we have Darlene and Dom, and you know, their reunion is not what we had hoped it would be. Their reunion was rough. And it was such incredible acting between both of those actors, just the desperation of both of them. And these are two people who literally, their loved ones hang in the balance of their decisions. So you have two people that are so desperate and they will literally do anything they have to do. I thought that was brilliant, just so stressful to watch. And then, you know, the setup right before the end of the episode where scary taxidermy lady shows up, I was on the edge of my seat, truly. And then of course, you know, at the end of the episode, Elliot gets like kidnapped and thrown in a car. So fast forward to this week's episode. I have to say I am a little tired of listening to drug guy talking about all of his weird poetic stuff, telling long rambling stories and walking around like carrying knives and guns and whatever. Like, he was a lot more frightening, I think, earlier in the show. At this point, he's just talking too much. I have to admit that was the only time where I was sort of checking out a little, was like his monologue basically at the beginning, where he's just like talking at Elliot and telling him these stories. So this week's episode was constructed like an old movie. You know, it was broken up into acts, and you like this dark flickering halo around everything that gave it that old movie feel, and the fade-ins and outs and everything. Absolutely brilliant. There's no way this show isn't going to win a ton of awards when award season comes around for this season. It's just been so good. This episode does stick very tight to Elliot and finding out some revelations. So as, you know, his therapist is like pulling these things out of him, I had no idea what to expect. I was like, are we going to find out that, are we going to find out like who the third personality is? Are we going to find out that like Elliot never knew his dad at all, and he just like made up Mr. Robot to be his dad? And then, you know, we were kind of building toward it had something to do with his dad. I have to admit, never in a million years could I have seen that revelation coming of the fact that his father had been abusing him. Never, ever, ever could have seen that coming. I was totally thrown off by that. And the acting in that episode was just, from Rami Malek in particular, was just so good and so powerful. That man's incredible. Like, he's an incredible actor. And I think that's some of the most emotion we've seen from Elliot for this whole show, which makes sense given what he found out. Yeah, it was a riveting acting performance on his account. Absolutely. And then at the end of the episode, I was like, okay, what, you know, here's the two of them like embracing each other, and this guy's got a gun on him, and I'm thinking like Elliot's gonna grab the gun and shoot him while they're hugging, and I was like so sure that was gonna happen. I had completely forgotten the therapist lady was even around, and when she like stabs him in the back, all I could think was like, oh, thank God, finally. Like, I'm so sick of hearing this guy talk. I know it's terrible, but I'm done with him. Like, I want to move on. I want to find out. You know, we had another hint with White Rose talking about like, let's show Elliot this thing that we're doing and he'll get on board. Like, I want to know what they want to get him on board with. Like, I want to know, what is White Rose making? I'm ready to find out. So anyway, this was probably the most rambly one yet, but it's just because I'm trying to like put into words my thoughts about two very intense episodes back to back. Obviously, because episode 6 was a bit ago now, and then 7 is still super fresh in my mind tonight. Also, I'm very tired, but I wanted to film this. I wanted to get this up. I want to be able to talk to you about it. What did you think of these last 2 episodes? Like, was your mind as blown as mine about the revelation that Elliot found out about his dad? Like, also, side note, want to say I appreciate that in the last 2 episodes, at the end, they've included like phone numbers for people that are struggling with suicidal thoughts and for people who are suffering from domestic violence. I think that's a really cool thing they're doing. I appreciate that they're tying that in and like, you know, not just ignoring the fact that those are themes that happen in real life, and, you know, those are things that real people struggle with. So I think that's really good of them to do. It makes sure that like nothing in the show ever feels cheap in any way. So I am so curious what's going on with Darlene and Dom and Crazy Taxidermy Lady. I want to know what White Rose is building. I have so many questions, and I cannot wait for more of this show. Once it's over, I'm going to actually rewatch it because I feel like it's going to be fascinating now to go back and see if everything makes sense in context, especially with that crazy revelation from this week about Elliot's dad. So Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you haven't already, you should subscribe. There's going to be a couple more of these for the rest of the Mr. Robot series, and then I have another fun series planned. I also upload videos about all those other things that I mentioned at the beginning. So all kinds of fun stuff. I'm going to be giving some stuff away soon, so you should subscribe. Just get in on it. Just get in on it. I know your thoughts about this episode, and thank you again for stopping by, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.